Hey there, it's J-Rod here with Zach Scheidt for another edition of the Rich Retirement Letter Q&A. And Zach, I got a question that's right in your wheelhouse here.
Okay.
My pension is offering me a lump sum payment. Should I take it?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question. And I've heard that question from many different people. And quite honestly, there's not a one size fits all answer. But as an investor, I do have a little bit of a natural bias when it comes to taking a lump sum instead of taking payments that come from a pension month after month after month. So most companies that offer a lump sum, they do this so that they don't have the responsibility of paying you for years and years. So if you have a pension with an airline or a manufacturing company or something like that, they may have an obligation to pay you for the rest of your life, or they may say, hey, instead of that, we're going to give you a big payment right now. And then that's it. You're in charge of managing that money from now on. So it's easier for them in a lot of cases to write one check and for them not to have to pay a manager to invest the money and them not to have to take the risk of whether that money goes up or down. As an individual investor, if you're listening to this, if you're part of our rich retirement family, I think that you can be more proactive with your investment, especially in today's market. So you could take that lump sum and you could invest it in dividend companies that are generating income through their dividend payments. And that's something that you can actually participate in. And in many cases, the pension plan that is investing your money, they're invested in things that are paying a lot lower interest, like treasury bonds right now that are paying next to nothing. So you can actually generate more income than these guys can, because they have rules that they have to follow with a certain amount invested in treasury bonds, a certain amount invested in other situations in the market, whereas you can go right where the best opportunities are. Another thing that I think you should consider if you're making this choice between continuing to get payments long-term or getting one big lump sum is that the future payments that you get from a pension may not be as guaranteed as you assume that they are, as you think. Most pensions in the United States right now are underfunded. And J-Rod, what that means is, as you know, it means that they have not set aside enough money to actually make the payments that they're required to make to retirees. And that's kind of scary. Now, in a best case scenario, they'll be just fine. Their profits will continue to grow and they'll be able to use some of those profits to pay retirees. I hope that's what happens. I want to believe that that's what happens. But at the same time, with your retirement, you don't want to take more risk than you have to take. So it may be that it makes more sense to take that lump sum now while they have the cash, instead of waiting farther down the road where there might be more of an economic crisis. These companies may not make profits. And then the question is, how are they going to make the payments that they're required to make to retirees if they don't have the cash available? So that's something to be concerned about, and certainly check to see whether the pension that you're receiving payments from is fully funded or not. So those are just some things that I would use to think about. And remember, if you do take a lump sum payment, we here at the Rich Retirement Letter want to be a great resource for you in helping you find the best areas to invest that capital. So those are my thoughts. J-Rod, what about you? Do you have anything that kind of comes to mind when you think about this question?
I do. And, you as a former, money manager, I don't think anybody could have explained it better. My number one concern, like you mentioned at the end there, is whether or not the pension is going to be there.
Mhm.
We've seen major, blue chip companies cut their pensions, like
Mhm.
GE and other big household names. I would be concerned, like you said. I mean, an overwhelming majority of these companies have underfunded pensions.
Yeah.
Me, if I see any risk of that happening, I'd rather have my money up front.
Yeah. And there's a lot of arguments that are made that cash today is worth a whole lot more than cash tomorrow, simply because, again, you can invest that cash. You can do something really productive with that cash rather than letting the pension sit on that cash and may or may not be as productive or as intent upon growing that as you would be, because it's your life, it's your retirement, it's your benefit that you're actually working on. So good point. Yeah. So Thank you guys for the great question and for joining us here on Rich Retirement TV. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about this or what other questions that you have that you'd like us to discuss in the future. And we will see you next time.
For sure.